The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. What if I told you that there are only 4 ways human beings operate in the world? And once you identify yours, everything about your relationships, career choices, and life struggles will suddenly make perfect sense. Carl Jung discovered something that most people never realize. Your psychological type isn't just a personality quiz result. It's the invisible force that's been controlling every major decision you've ever made. Think about the last argument you had with someone close to you. Were you frustrated because they couldn't see the logical solution, or because they weren't considering how everyone would feel? Keep that in mind. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that conflict happened. Let me tell you about Sarah and Marcus, a couple who loved each other deeply but fought constantly. Sarah would make decisions based on harmony and how others felt. Marcus would analyze data and logic. Neither was wrong, but they were operating from completely different psychological types. Jung realized that people aren't just randomly different. We fall into predictable patterns. He identified 4 fundamental ways humans process information and make decisions. Understanding these types doesn't just explain your behavior, it predicts it. Jung called them psychological functions: thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition. But here's what's crucial. We all have access to all 4, but one dominates your entire personality. This dominant function is like your psychological default setting. The thinking type approaches life through logic and analysis. If you're a thinking type, you make decisions by asking, what makes the most sense? You value competence, fairness, and objective truth. You're the person who solves problems by breaking them down systematically. Thinking types excel at strategic planning, troubleshooting, and seeing the big picture without emotional interference. You're natural leaders in crisis situations because you can stay calm and focus on solutions rather than feelings. But here's the shadow side. Thinking types often struggle with emotional intimacy. You might be seen as cold or insensitive because you naturally prioritize logic over feelings. Your relationships suffer when you try to solve emotional problems with logical solutions. The feeling type navigates life through values and human impact. If you're a feeling type, you ask, how will this affect people? You make decisions based on harmony, personal values, and what feels right in your heart. Feeling types are natural empaths and peacemakers. You excel at understanding others' needs, creating harmony, and making decisions that consider everyone's well-being. You're the glue that holds relationships and teams together. The shadow. Feeling types can struggle with necessary but difficult decisions. You might avoid conflict even when it's needed, or take criticism too personally. Your desire for harmony can lead to people-pleasing and self-neglect. The sensation type lives in the present moment through their 5 senses. You're practical, realistic, and focused on tangible details. You trust what you can see, touch, and experience directly. Sensation types are incredibly reliable and practical. You excel at managing details, following through on commitments, and dealing with immediate realities. You're the person others count on to handle the practical aspects of life. The shadow side. You might struggle with abstract concepts or long-term planning. Change can be difficult because you prefer the familiar and tested. You might miss the forest for the trees, focusing so much on details you lose sight of possibilities. The intuition type sees patterns, possibilities, and potential futures. You're drawn to innovation, meaning, and what could be, rather than what is. You make connections others miss and see possibilities everywhere. Intuitive types are visionaries and innovators. You excel at strategic thinking, creative problem solving, and inspiring others with your vision. You're comfortable with ambiguity and change because you focus on potential rather than current reality. The shadow. You might struggle with follow-through and practical implementation. Details bore you, and you might abandon projects when they require sustained attention to mundane tasks. You can be seen as unreliable or scattered. But Jung added another crucial dimension: whether your dominant function is introverted or extroverted. This determines whether you process information internally first or externally, through interaction with the world. Here's the key insight. Psychological health requires developing your inferior function, the one opposite to your dominant type. Thinking types must develop their feeling function. Sensation types must develop intuition, and vice versa. Remember Sarah and Marcus? Once they understood that Sarah was a feeling type and Marcus was a thinking type, their conflicts transformed. Instead of fighting their differences, they learned to value them. Sarah helped Marcus consider emotional impact. Marcus helped Sarah think through logical consequences. Your type isn't an excuse. It's a starting point. Once you know your dominant function, you can consciously develop the others. This creates psychological balance and dramatically improves your relationships and decision-making. Here's your challenge. For the next week, notice your automatic responses. When making decisions, do you first ask, "What makes sense?" or "How will this affect people?" Do you focus on current realities or future possibilities? This awareness is the first step to integration. Understanding your psychological type isn't about limiting yourself. It's about understanding your natural gifts and blind spots. When you know your type, you can consciously choose when to lead with your strength and when to develop your weaker functions. Which psychological type resonated most with you? Share in the comments. Are you a logical thinking type, empathetic feeling type, practical sensation type, or visionary intuitive type? Your self-awareness might help someone else understand themselves. If you want to dive deeper into Jung's psychology and practical self-development, subscribe. We explore the unconscious patterns that shape your life and give you tools to consciously direct your growth. Jung believed that becoming conscious of your type is the beginning of true psychological freedom. You're not trapped by your dominant function. You're liberated by understanding it. Know your type, develop your shadows, and watch your life transform.